Wait, just for a moment, feel this silence before anything else, because something is already shifting, even if you cannot yet see it. There is a quiet preparation happening behind the scenes of your life, like footsteps you don't hear but somehow feel. And here's the part most people miss: this beginning you've been waiting for, it didn't start today, it started the moment you almost gave up. Now listen closely, because this is where it becomes personal. There is someone thinking differently now. Not in a sudden, dramatic way, but in a slow, undeniable realization that keeps returning to them no matter how much they try to ignore it. It's like a thought that lingers after everything else fades. And that thought is you. Not the version they once misunderstood, but the version they are only now beginning to truly see. Strange, isn't it? How clarity doesn't arrive with noise, but with stillness. They are revisiting moments, small ones. The kind that didn't seem important at the time. A look, a pause, something unsaid. And now those fragments are rearranging themselves into something they can no longer deny. It's not overwhelming, it's not chaotic, it's precise. Almost as if every memory is guiding them somewhere specific, toward you. But here's what makes this different. This isn't about rushing toward you. No, this is about becoming ready for you. And readiness takes time. You might be wondering, why now? Why after everything? Why when you had already started to move forward in your own way? That question, it matters. Because the answer reveals something deeper than timing, it reveals alignment. Something within them has settled. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough to begin seeing clearly. And when clarity enters, it doesn't ask for permission, it transforms everything quietly, from within. Stay here, don't skip this part, because what's unfolding is subtle, but powerful. They are not the same person you once knew. Not because they changed overnight, but because they were forced to face something they had been avoiding. And when someone faces truth, even gently, it leaves a mark. A shift. A new awareness that cannot be undone. And that awareness is leading them somewhere, step by step, thought by thought. Closer. But here is the part you didn't expect. While they are preparing, so are you. Not in obvious ways, not in ways you would immediately recognize. But in the way you've been learning to let go, the way you've been choosing yourself without even realizing it, the way you've started to feel a quiet strength where there used to be uncertainty. That is not random. That is preparation. Something important is waiting for you, but it doesn't arrive until both sides are ready to receive it without fear, without confusion, without hesitation. And right now, something is aligning in ways you cannot fully see yet. Pause for a second. And ask yourself, why does this feel different this time? Because it is. This is not about repeating the past, this is about stepping into something new that carries the lessons of everything before it. A new beginning doesn't erase what happened, it transforms it into something meaningful. And somewhere, in a quiet moment, they are starting to understand that. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But undeniably. And just as that realization begins to settle within them, another shift is about to unfold, something neither of you fully expect, something that will change the way this connection moves forward. But that part hasn't revealed itself yet. Something unusual is happening, not in the way the world would notice, but in the quiet spaces where decisions are truly made. It's almost like a moment is forming, slowly, carefully, as if everything is being arranged before it reveals itself. And here's what you don't see yet. They've started to question the silence between you. Not the obvious silence, but the deeper one, the one filled with things left unsaid. It's no longer comfortable for them. It lingers. It follows them into their quiet hours. And the more they try to move past it, the more it gently pulls them back. Why does it feel unfinished? That question, it doesn't leave them anymore. Stay with this, don't rush ahead, because this is where everything begins to turn. There is a realization growing inside them that cannot be ignored much longer. Not loud, not overwhelming, but steady. Like a truth that keeps repeating itself until it's finally acknowledged. And that truth is simple, yet powerful. What they felt with you was real in a way they can't recreate anywhere else. Let that sink in for a moment. Because this isn't about comparison, it's about recognition. They are beginning to understand that some connections don't fade, they wait. Quietly. Patiently. Until both people are ready to meet them again with new eyes. And now, for the first time, they are starting to see you without the filters they once had. But here's the unexpected part. They are hesitating. Not because they don't care, but because now, they care in a way that feels different. More aware. More thoughtful. And that kind of feeling, it makes a person pause. It makes them want to get it right this time. So instead of rushing, they are preparing. They are thinking about what they would say, how they would approach you, how they would make sure that this time, nothing is left unclear. It's not perfect yet, but it's intentional. And intention changes everything. You might not notice it outwardly, not yet, but something is shifting in the way they carry you in their mind. It's no longer confusion, it's focus. A quiet determination forming beneath the surface. And at the same time, you are being guided into a different kind of space. A space where you are no longer waiting the same way you used to. A space where your energy feels calmer, more centered, less attached to outcomes and more connected to your own path. Have you noticed that? That subtle change within you. That's not distance, that's growth. And growth creates the exact conditions for something real to return, not as it was, but as it was always meant to be. Stay a little longer, because something important is waiting for you. There is a moment approaching. A crossing point, where both of your paths begin to move toward each other again. Not dramatically, not all at once, but in a way that feels almost natural, like it was always meant to happen this way. But just before that moment arrives, something unexpected will surface. A realization, a message, or even a small action, that carries more meaning than it appears on the surface. It might seem simple at first, easy to overlook, but it will hold the key to what comes next. And this is where it becomes even more important. Because the way you respond to that moment will shape everything that follows. Not with pressure, not with urgency, but with awareness. So when that moment appears, will you recognize it for what it truly is? Or will it pass by, unnoticed, like so many things did before? Don't skip this journey, because what's unfolding now is leading somewhere very specific and very real. And just as everything begins to align, just as the distance between you starts to quietly close, they make a decision. A small one, but powerful enough to change the direction of everything. And just when everything feels still, something moves. Not loudly, not in a way the world would notice, but in a quiet, deliberate step that carries more meaning than 1,000 words. It's the kind of movement that happens after long reflection, after hesitation has been slowly replaced by clarity. They've reached a point where staying silent no longer feels right. Pause here, because this is important. This isn't an impulsive decision. It's not driven by emotion alone. It's something deeper, something that has been building beneath the surface for a long time. Every thought they tried to ignore, every memory they revisited, every moment of wondering, what if, it has all led to this subtle shift. And now, they're choosing differently. But here's where it becomes even more meaningful. They are not approaching you as the same person you once knew. There is a difference in the way they think now. A difference in the way they understand what this connection truly meant, and what it still means. It's no longer about confusion or uncertainty, it's about intention. And intention creates direction. Stay with this, don't skip, because something is beginning to take shape. You may start to feel it before you see it. A small change in your energy. A moment where your thoughts drift toward them without effort, a sense that something is about to happen even if you can't explain why. It won't feel overwhelming, it will feel quiet, steady, almost like an inner knowing. That feeling, trust it. Because while you are sensing this shift, they are preparing to act on it. Not perfectly, not with all the answers, but with enough clarity to take the first step. And sometimes, the first step is all that's needed to change everything. But here's the unexpected part. They are being careful. Careful with their words, careful with their timing, careful not to repeat what once created distance between you. This time, they want to understand, not assume. They want to express, not hold back. And that changes the entire direction of what's coming. Ask yourself this, quietly. What would it feel like if this connection returned, not as something uncertain, but as something clear? Because that is the energy forming now. Not rushed. Not forced. Aligned. Something important is waiting for you, and it's closer than it seems. There is a moment approaching where the distance between thinking and action disappears, where everything they've been holding inside begins to move outward, into words, into presence, into something real. And when that moment arrives, it won't feel chaotic. It will feel right. But here's where your role becomes just as important. Because this is not only about their readiness, it's about yours too. You've grown in ways you didn't even notice. You've learned how to hold your own space, how to understand your own worth without needing constant reassurance. And because of that, you will meet this moment differently than before. Not from a place of longing, but from a place of calm strength. And that changes everything. So when the moment comes, when something shifts from silence into expression, will you recognize the difference? Will you feel the sincerity behind it? Or will the past try to echo louder than the present? Stay till the end of this unfolding, because what's about to happen next carries a meaning that goes beyond words, beyond timing, beyond expectation. Because the step they are about to take is only the beginning of something neither of you fully imagined, yet both of you were quietly moving toward all along. And then, without warning, the moment arrives. Not with noise, not with dramatic signals. but with a quiet certainty that feels almost unreal at first. It slips into your awareness gently, like something you've been sensing for a long time finally stepping into the light. This is it. But look closer, because it's not what you expected. It doesn't come wrapped in perfection. It doesn't erase the past in a single breath. Instead, it carries honesty. A different kind of presence. Something that feels grounded, intentional, real. And that's how you'll know. They reach out. Not just with words, but with a shift you can feel. There's a difference in the way they hold the moment, a difference in how they choose to express what once stayed hidden. It's not rushed, it's not overwhelming, it's steady. Almost like they've finally arrived at a place within themselves where truth feels safer than silence. Pause here. Because this is where everything changes. You may feel a mix of emotions rising, curiosity, hesitation, even a quiet disbelief. That's natural. After all, this is something you once waited for, something you slowly released, and now, here it is, returning in a form you didn't fully imagine. But listen carefully. This moment is not asking you to react. It's asking you to understand. To see what is being offered now, not what was missing before. To feel the difference between past uncertainty and present clarity. Because this time, there is awareness behind their actions, intention behind their presence. And that is rare. Stay with this, don't skip, because something deeper is unfolding beneath the surface. They are not just reconnecting, they are revealing. Revealing the thoughts they once kept to themselves, the feelings they didn't know how to express, the truth they had to grow into before they could share it with you. It may come in simple words, or even in a quiet conversation, but the meaning behind it will carry weight. You'll feel it. Not in what they say alone, but in how it feels when they say it. And here's the part that transforms everything. You are no longer the same person who once stood in front of this connection. You see more clearly now. You feel more deeply, but with less confusion. You understand your own space, your own value, in a way that changes how you receive what is being offered. So instead of getting lost in the moment, you remain present within it. And that presence becomes the foundation of something new. Take a breath, and ask yourself, what if this isn't a return, but a beginning? Because that's exactly what it is. Not a continuation of old patterns, not a repetition of what once was. But a chance to build something different, something more aligned, something that reflects who both of you have become. And just when you begin to settle into this realization, another layer reveals itself. Something unspoken, yet deeply felt, starts to emerge between you. A sense that this connection was never truly broken, only paused, only waiting for the right moment to evolve into something stronger. Something important is waiting for you. And it's not just in what is said, but in what is understood without words. Because the energy between you begins to shift, not in fragments, but as a whole. The distance that once felt heavy, now feels lighter, almost like it was dissolving all along without you noticing. And then, a quiet realization forms within you. This moment, this connection, this beginning. It's not happening by chance. It's happening because both of you are finally ready to meet it, fully, honestly, without the weight of who you used to be. But just as everything begins to settle into this new rhythm, a question arises. One that will shape everything that follows. What will you choose to do, now that the beginning has finally found you? But here's where everything becomes quietly intense, not outside, but within you. Because now, the moment is no longer approaching, it is here, breathing, waiting, alive between two people who once stood on opposite sides of uncertainty. And the strangest part. It doesn't feel overwhelming like you imagined, it feels calm, almost like something has finally clicked into place. Why does it feel so different this time? Stay here, don't rush past this feeling, because this is where the real shift begins. You are not reacting the way you once would have. There is no urgency pulling you, no fear pushing you to hold on too tightly, no confusion clouding what you feel. Instead, there is a quiet awareness, a steady presence inside you that simply observes, understands, and chooses with clarity. That is not coincidence. That is who you have become. And they can feel it. Not in obvious ways, not through grand gestures, but in the subtle way you hold yourself, in the calmness of your responses, in the space you no longer rush to fill. It changes how they approach you, how they speak, how they listen. For the first time, there is balance. Pause for a moment. Because this balance, it's everything. This is no longer about one person chasing and the other pulling away. No longer about guessing what the other feels. It's something far more grounded, far more real. It's two people standing in their own clarity, meeting each other without losing themselves. And that's where something powerful begins to form. Not a spark that burns quickly, but a steady light, something that can actually last. But listen carefully, because this next part matters more than anything before it. There will be a moment, subtle, almost easy to miss, where everything rests on a choice. Not a loud decision, not a dramatic turning point, but a quiet inner yes or no. A moment where you feel it clearly, whether to step forward into this new beginning, or to hold back and protect the space you've created for yourself. Don't skip this, because this is where your truth speaks the loudest. What do you truly want, now that everything is finally aligning? Not what you wanted before. Not what you hoped for in the past, but what feels right in this present moment, with the person standing before you as they are now. Because they are offering something different. Not perfection, but effort. Not promises, but presence. Not confusion, but clarity. And that changes the meaning of everything. You might notice small things, the way they stay consistent, the way their words match their actions, the way they choose to understand rather than assume. It won't feel forced. It will feel natural, like something that has finally found its rhythm. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to trust the moment. Not blindly, not completely, but enough to stay, enough to explore what this could become, enough to allow something new to take shape. Something important is waiting for you, but it doesn't rush, it unfolds. And just when you begin to feel this quiet connection strengthening, when the space between you starts to feel filled with something real, another realization rises. This beginning, it's not just about the two of you coming together. It's about who you are becoming within it. Because the way you move forward now, the way you communicate, the way you hold this connection, will determine whether this remains a moment or becomes something lasting. Take a breath. Because what comes next will not be decided by fate alone. It will be shaped by the choices you both make, from here, in this new space you've created together. And just as that truth settles within you, something even deeper begins to reveal itself, something that was always there, quietly waiting beneath everything you've experienced so far. And just when you think you've understood everything, something deeper opens. Not outside, not in them, but within you. It's quiet at first, almost unnoticeable, like a realization forming without words. A feeling that this connection, this entire journey, was never only about reaching this moment, but about transforming you into someone who could finally receive it without losing yourself. Pause here, feel that. Because this is the part most people overlook. You didn't just wait, you evolved. Every moment of confusion, every time you questioned, every time you chose to step back instead of chasing, it shaped something inside you that now stands calm, steady, aware. And because of that, this beginning feels different, not overwhelming, but grounded. And they feel it too. There is a subtle shift in how they meet you now. Not from a place of uncertainty, but from a place of respect. A recognition of your space, your growth, your presence. It's not spoken directly, but it's there, in the way they listen, in the way they pause before responding, in the way they no longer take your energy lightly. This is new. Stay with this, because something important is waiting for you. The connection between you is no longer built on what could happen. It's being shaped by what is happening, right now. Small moments, simple exchanges, quiet understandings, they begin to carry more meaning than anything dramatic ever could. And slowly, a sense of ease begins to replace the tension that once lived here. No more guessing. No more overthinking every word. Just presence, real, consistent, unfolding. But here's the part that changes everything. You are no longer looking at them the same way. Not through the lens of the past. Not through the memories that once held weight, but through clarity. You see who they are now, and more importantly, you see who you are beside them. And that awareness gives you something powerful. Choice. Take a moment, and ask yourself quietly. Does this feel aligned with who I am becoming? Because that answer, it matters more than anything else. Not what was said, not what is promised, but what is felt, consistently, over time. And here's where something extraordinary begins to unfold. The connection starts to move naturally. No forcing, no pulling, no holding on out of fear. Just two people, choosing to stay, step by step, moment by moment, without losing themselves in the process. That is rare. And you'll begin to notice it in ways that feel almost effortless, conversations that flow without pressure, silences that feel comfortable instead of heavy, a sense that you are no longer trying to make something work, it simply is. And in that space, something deeper grows. Not just connection, but understanding. A kind of understanding that doesn't need constant reassurance, because it's built on presence, on consistency, on truth. Don't skip this feeling, because this is where everything becomes real. This is where the idea of a beginning transforms into something tangible, something you can actually experience, not just imagine. And just when you begin to settle into this quiet certainty, another realization rises. This journey, it wasn't about finding them. It was about finding yourself in a way that made this connection possible without losing your balance. And now, you stand at a point where everything feels open, not forced, not uncertain, just open. Ready. But here's the final question that gently appears. Now that everything is here, calm, clear, aligned, what will you build from it? Because this beginning, it's no longer something you're waiting for. It's something you are already inside of.